Hey, Michael, doctor. I'm from Lake Elsinore, California. I'm listening on KSFO on iHeartRadio. And I got a question about vaccines for my baby daughter.
Well, we're listening. What's the question?
Is it true that they put mercury and aluminum in them, and are they dangerous?
Well, all right, this is a very serious question. There are vaccines which still contain a form of mercury, although there are reports that some manufacturers have removed the mercury from the vaccinations. Now, you're asking about a very big topic. Do I believe in vaccinations? Yes. Do I believe in all the vaccinations? Not necessarily. So which vaccination are we talking about?
Well, I live in Southern California, and the measles outbreak just happened not too far from where we live, and, you know, they're offering the hepatitis B vaccine.
Yeah, well, they ought to give it to the illegal aliens on the boxcars this summer. They should have injected them before they let them into the country, not your beautiful daughter.
I know, Michael. It's crazy.
They should have shut them up with the vaccines instead of bringing them in with their filthy third-world diseases.
I was out there protesting the buses when Obama tried to give us the middle finger.
He has flooded America with diseased immigrants. We're now paying the piper for it.
Yeah, he put us in danger, you know. And I'm just.
It's a form of medical genocide. Write that down. And if people don't like it, they can stuff it. The man should be impeached for what he did this summer alone. Who gave him the authority to bring in hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens, many of whom are infected with these diseases? Who gave him that authority? The Republicans did by bending over and walking away. That's all. So it doesn't answer your question. I recognize that. So which vaccine has your daughter had?
Well, we haven't given her any yet because I'm just so confused on the research. I don't know what research.
Well, you got to be very cautious. You know, if you don't permit your beautiful child to have a vaccine, you're putting her at risk of a disease. So, you know, be careful. And it's going to require a lot more research on your part. But don't put your daughter at risk for these diseases. They were brought in by the illegal aliens, these new diseases, or the old diseases that are now resurging. And now we have to protect our children. It's the illegal aliens who came in unvaccinated from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Mexico. Do you understand? You understand that, right?
Michael, I'm Mexican-American myself, but my family never came in illegal. We did it the right way. My family fought in the Texas Revolution. And
hey, you don't have to tell me how loyal the Mexican people are to America, the citizens. I know. In fact, if you look at the number of medals of honor, it's strangely enough, those with Hispanic names are very big on the list. You know that?
I do.
Yeah, they're very brave warrior people. And God bless the Mexican people. No one's ever knocked the Mexican people. We are talking about this crazy government doing this to the people by bringing in unvaccinated children who are infected with measles. But I didn't answer your question, and it was a simple question. I think you started with mercury, right?
Yeah, mercury and aluminum.
Well, my friend, there are 49 doses of 14 vaccines before the age of 6. There are 69 doses of 16 vaccines by the age of 18. Diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, Hep E, hepatitis B, PCV at 2 months. I mean, it's a very serious series of questions here. And you have to ask yourself, what kind of people are we that we have to treat our babies like chickens in a hatchery? What happened to this country? But on the other hand, you have to say, I have to protect my child from these illnesses. So how do you recognize how do you decide what to do? Is the childhood vaccine schedule safe? How do you recognize signs and symptoms of vaccine reactions? Because there are reactions to these vaccines that you should be aware of. And this is much more than I can cover in one call. I'm gonna tell you to go and Google the word vaccinations and then search everything you can find. I think you'll find your answer in there, okay?
Okay, thank you, Michael.
I didn't really answer the question, but I tried to. I'll be back. Everyone's talking about the measles epidemic being brought in by Obama's children, and now some lunatic doctor on Fox News has the nerve to demand that Obama require and force every child to take vaccines. Instead of forcing the illegal aliens to have been vaccinated when they were brought over the border, now they're going to punish everybody else. Let me tell you something right now. And you better listen very carefully, because a lot of these television doctors are complete and they're ignoramuses. They have no idea of the history of their own field. In 1983, the CDC, when it was still a decent organization, directed that doctors give a child no more than 4 vaccines simultaneously. But by 2013, the very same CDC, which had been politicized, directed that a child could receive up to 8 or more vaccines at one time. What does that mean to you? Well, if you don't have children, it means nothing. If you live in San Francisco, it means nothing. Nothing. But there's an epidemic of chronic diseases and disability amongst America's children, who are the most highly vaccinated children in the entire world, and also among the most chronically ill and disabled. In other words, if these vaccines were the most highly vaccinated children in the world, well, you have the most chronically ill and disabled children. How does that work? How's that possible? Where did this chronic disease and disability come from? Well, it's increased dramatically in the past 40 or 50 years. It has to come from somewhere. Where's it coming from? Don't say it came out of the air. So watch out with this call now for mandatory vaccines. What are the signs and symptoms of vaccine reactions? High fever, over 103, hives, rashes, swelling, screaming, shock, excessive sleepiness, convulsion, brain inflammation, behavioral changes, mental and physical regression. There are many other vaccine reactions that Fox News' moronic doctor won't tell you about. Instead, that blabbermouth is calling for mandatory vaccines.